Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Cancel Me Later. I'm happy it's finally started. But my name is Matthew Pachonka. I'm 19 years old, a college student, got raised by immigrant parents, but I'm not just that. I'm a brother, a son. I have family in another country. And I always think about the future. I want a better world for my kids, a better world for my friends, and a better world for everyone. And that's where I wanted to start this. Cancel Me Later, which is kind of like a podcast, but I don't want to treat it that way. I want this to be a movement where we're going to sit here and have that honest, kind of messy conversation that other podcasters don't have because they're scared of getting canceled. They're scared of speaking their mind, talking about those hard truths, talking about the things that make them vulnerable. Those are the things we're going to go over. And just like in the War of 1812, Americans were all over. But there's one group in minority that still wanted to fight. And they fought anyways. And they proved an important thing that I look at my entire life every single day. That the loudest group isn't always the group that's right. And for those people that don't know exactly what happened in 1812, America went to war. It wasn't a war that people agreed with. It wasn't a war that people understood. But there's still a small group of people that wanted to fight. I've even felt that in my entire life. Not entire life, but starting in high school when I actually started getting politically involved, I wanted to support the presidential candidate I believe in. I have a conservative mindset. I got raised that way by my immigrant parents. And what really opened my eyes was I started wearing a MAGA hat, a red MAGA hat. And the countless stories I could give you of me walking past someone and hearing words that I wouldn't even wish on my enemies. And hearing different group chats talking about me, it hurt me. It got to a point where I didn't even want to say my opinion anymore. It got to the point where I didn't want to talk about it anymore. It got to the point where I couldn't even sleep thinking about it. But then I came to a realization throughout my entire life, what so many people have taught me. You can't care about those things. You can't care about what the crowd thinks. You have to think how you think. Have your own opinions. Think your own way. And that's what's important, and that's why I want to start this podcast. It's a movement. But this movement is going to turn into what I hope is going to be a brand new crowd. A crowd that fights to have your own opinions. Not a crowd that agrees. Not a crowd that sits there and, shoulder and shoulder saying, oh yeah, we all agree for the same thing, fighting against a whole new crowd. Our crowd only agrees with one thing. That everyone should have their own opinion and their own thoughts. And we're going to fight against every other crowd, every other person that thinks otherwise, that thinks their opinion should be the only opinion. And that's wrong. And that's what I'm going to invite you for this podcast. Whatever I say, the hard truths that are going to make you feel comfortable, sit there and just listen. Try to understand it, but if you don't, that's okay. That's life. You have to sit there and see why it makes you uncomfortable, see why it makes you angry, see why it sits with you. And that's what's going to be important. And I'm going to invite you to do that with every single hard truth I make and every hard message that I make. And it's not going to be easy. Not easy for other people, not easy for me. I'm 19 years old. I'm trying to get politically involved. I'm trying to do what I think is good for the world. But it's not as easy as people always say. And I know you will realize that. With every message I make, you'll sit there and this guy's crazy. I'm not going to do what he's going to do because it's hard or I don't sit with it. but just listen to the movement at least. Like I said, I'm 19 years old. This is not going to be an easy thing to do for me either. Having cameras, lights, mics, everything. It's not what 19-year-olds usually do, but someone has to step up for this movement to start. Someone has to step up for this society to change with cancel culture. Someone has to step up so something actually changes. And that's what I'm going to do. And that's why my goal isn't going to be to get viral from this. Not to get clicks or become the next viral patriot for America. My goal is to lead this movement into a new world where everyone can speak their mind, have their own thoughts, and sit in a world where family isn't going to stop talking to you, where friends aren't going to unfollow you, block you, just for having your own opinion. That's the world I see that I want my kids to be in. And I hope you want the same thing for your family, for your loved ones, even your enemies. That's the world we should live in. So you might be asking yourself, even though I talked about a few stories, where Cancel Me Later came from. And it's those stories that I exactly told you that I heard friends. I even heard my closest friends start talking about things behind my back just because I had a different political opinion. And it got to the point where, as a high schooler, everyone has been there, tries to get involved with girls, talking to them. It got to the point where I'm sitting there and I start hearing stories that these girls are scared to talk to me. They say all these good things about me. Oh, he's nice. Whatever. Doesn't even matter. But they're scared to talk to me. Because I wanted to vote for Trump. I wasn't 18 yet. But because I wanted to vote for him, I became some sort of monster in their eyes. And it keeps going from there, where I see even in my own college. I wrote one article. An article why I believe ICE agents should, the National Guard, ICE agents, everything should come to Chicago. From that one article, that one singular article, I heard stories from specific people that are going to state my name, that even the administrators started talking to me about that one article, even though 2 weeks before that, someone posted an article saying the National Guard shouldn't be allowed in Illinois. And that's the society we live in, where there's one crowd that's right and one crowd that are monsters. And that's where this movement is going to keep stepping in. We're going to rip a new one into cancel culture. And that's going to be the truth. And that's what's going to make Cancel Me Later different. It's not a podcast that you see all these people do, where they try to take these controversial ideas and even become famous from it. We're going to turn these ideas and these conversations into lessons for you to sit back and think about and have your own thought. Develop new ideas. Not the ideas that society gave you, but ideas from your own brain. And most importantly, from your own heart. The heart that thinks about your children in the future, the heart that thinks about your family, and the heart that thinks for other people all around you. And that's what people have lost. People don't have that heart anymore. They sit there and, once again, just start thinking of these other people as monsters. But that's the people we're going to bring on the show. Politicians, business leaders, influencers, musicians, artists, the whole 9 yards. And they're all going to be real people. We're going to bring those real people off the streets that are in trades, blue-collar workers, the office workers that sit behind a desk all day, that don't get their voice heard. We're going to hand them a mic. We're going to give them a mic to talk about their lessons, to talk about what they think is right, and they're going to talk about those lessons. Without the idea of cancel culture coming from behind and knocking them out. And you might be asking yourself, which I already went over, and you might understand why Cancel Me Later is important. It's important because society is going in a direction of a communism ideology where there's only one thought that's allowed for everyone, and if you have a different thought, it's not allowed. That you have to sit there and move with the crowd. You can't be your own person. And that's why it's important. If you join this movement, this fight, you're going to be part of that change where we're going to go against that. And you're not going to have to agree with anything I say. You can sit there and be like, this guy's a lunatic. But the main goal, I hope you agree with, because if you don't, you're the lunatic. And this society has to change, and we're going to keep fighting as a movement, as our own crowd, and as our own fighters, as the people in 1812 did. We're going to join together and fight against the loud crowd. Even if we're in a minority at the start, we're going to become the loud crowd. And not by fighting, by having those real conversations and those real thoughts. And that's what you can expect from Cancel Me later. You're going to expect those real truths that are going to leave you there being mad at me. Those real truths that are going to leave you there thinking about your whole life and that you did something wrong. But I'm going to be honest with you. If you listen, you're going to start learning lessons from these other peoples that we bring on the show. You're going to learn lessons that they went through. Mistakes that they went through. That you can learn from. And you normally can't learn from them because they'll get canceled for speaking their own mind, or they'll start thinking their family's going to look at them different. That's how a lot of these politicians are now. They don't want to talk about their mistakes. They want to seem like a perfect person behind the camera. They want to seem like this person that is just perfect in the world's eyes. But I'm sorry to break it to every single one of those every single one of those people. You're not perfect. We're all human. Humans are meant to have mistakes. You're not going to live a life where you can sit back and do everything perfect and you become successful. You're going to have those times where you trip, when you start bleeding, and you're going to start crying. But you're going to have to lift yourself up. You're going to push yourself up, and you're going to fight against it. And that's what people do. A lot of people behind the scenes. But no one talks about it. You could sit there and tell me a singular person or a singular group that does that. I can't name one. I've talked to people one-on-one. That's when you get those conversations. But people on camera, people talking to the world, they're scared. They're scared of getting canceled. And that's where this movement comes back to fight against cancel culture. And if you made it this far, I'm going to say I appreciate it. And I hope you join this movement by either subscribing, commenting about it, talking to other people about this movement, even whether that's a group chat, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever social media you use, family, friends, family across seas, whoever you can think of. I hope you bring this movement to them. Because we need to build something now before this gets worse and turns into that world where there's only one opinion allowed, only one thought, and only one direction that you can think. And when that happens, we're going to end as a society. And that's why we have to fight now. And we're not going to fight with muskets like they did in 1912. We're going to fight with our words. And I hope this movement gets viral, not me. This movement has to go somewhere. But we have to fight. It's turning into a world where I can't understand anymore, and I hope you can't understand anymore. And it worries me. It worries me to a point where sometimes I can't even sit back. And as men, we don't talk about those emotions, but I get scared to a point where I can't even explain it. There's no English word that can explain my emotions to the direction the world's going. And that's why I have the deepest faith. I'm going to pray to God that this movement goes somewhere, with me or without me. I hope this movement goes somewhere where we're going to fight against this cancel culture, where we can have our own thoughts, those honest truths, and where we can fight for it. This podcast is going to be a space for thought, for open thought. And that's why comment your thought. Whether you completely disagree, completely agree, somewhere in the middle, whatever your opinion is, make that opinion, stand by that opinion, and stand on that opinion as your life depended on it. And that's what's important. This is Cancel Me Later, the movement that's not going to be here to get liked. It's not going to be the movement have a bunch of people going around forcing people to join. It's going to be a movement to be moved. And the second people realize that, people are going to join. Make sure to like, subscribe, share with your family, whoever. Share the message. And as always, I'm going to speak the truth, speak my mind, do the same, and as a whole, as a group, we will preach, cancel us later.